Sometimes, betrayal doesn't arrive with a scream. It walks in quietly, like a shadow you didn't notice, like a whisper you almost ignored. That night, I couldn't sleep. The house felt colder than usual, though it was the middle of summer. Daniel had said he was working late again, another urgent project, another client call. I believed him, because that's what wives do when they love. But something in my chest, something didn't feel right. I remember turning on my side, staring at the clock, 11:47 p.m. The streetlight outside flickered through the blinds, painting golden bars on our bedroom wall. My phone buzzed once, a message from my sister, but I didn't open it. I just lay there, half asleep, half anxious, trying to convince myself that everything was fine. Until I heard it. Daniel's voice. It was faint at first, coming from his office down the hall. I thought maybe he was talking to someone from work, but there was a tone in his voice I hadn't heard in months, soft, playful, teasing. I slipped out of bed quietly, my bare feet touching the cold wooden floor. The closer I got, the clearer his words became. "Yeah, she doesn't know yet," he said. Then came a low chuckle, and after that, a woman's laugh. Not just any laugh, the kind of laugh you only make when you feel safe, seen, wanted. My throat went dry. I wanted to believe I misheard. Maybe it was a video call or a client joking, but my body, my heart, already knew the truth. I stepped back, pressing my hand against my chest, feeling the thud of panic rise inside me. "Please, no," I whispered. I walked back to our room, each step heavier than the last. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the picture frame on the nightstand, our wedding photo. Me in my white gown, smiling at Daniel like he was my whole world. His hand holding mine, promise in his eyes. What a beautiful lie. My heart started to ache in waves. Memories flashed, his good morning kisses, the way he used to text me, "Just thinking of you." The nights he said, "I'm tired, babe," turning away before I could touch him. Every moment started to rearrange itself, revealing a pattern I hadn't wanted to see. I picked up my phone, opened his contact, stared at his name, Daniel Hart. My finger hovered over it. Should I call? Should I walk in there and demand the truth? But something stopped me. I didn't want to be the woman who begged. Not tonight. I turned off the lights and lay back down, pretending to sleep when I heard the door creak open minutes later. Daniel stepped inside. I could feel the shift in the air, that faint scent of cologne he only wore on special days. He stood by the bed for a moment. "You awake?" he whispered. I didn't move, didn't breathe. After a few seconds, he softly walked to the bathroom and turned on the faucet. I could hear the clinking of his watch against the sink, the sound of him brushing his teeth, like everything was normal. He climbed into bed beside me, his body warm, his hand brushing my arm. I wanted to scream. I wanted to pull away, but I just stayed still, staring into the dark, tears pooling in my eyes. "Good night, babe," he murmured. His voice sounded so gentle, so convincing. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't a mistake or a bad dream. This was a man who had learned to lie beautifully. I spent the rest of the night watching the ceiling, listening to his soft breathing beside me. By morning, I looked in the mirror and almost didn't recognize myself. My eyes were swollen, my lips trembling, but my mind was sharper than ever. I made his coffee like I always did. "Morning," he said, smiling. "Yeah," I whispered. He kissed my forehead, and I smiled back, because now I was the one hiding something. Not guilt, but knowledge. I knew. I didn't know who she was yet. I didn't know how long it had been, but I knew I wasn't crazy. And one thing about me, when I find the truth, I don't run from it. I burn everything around it until only the truth survives. Later that day, I started watching him closer. The way he guarded his phone, the sudden late meetings, how he smiled at texts and turned the screen away. He didn't know it yet, But every secret he thought he'd buried, I was going to dig it all up. And when I did, the world would finally see what kind of man Daniel really was. But before I tell you how I found the first proof, I need you to do one thing. If you've ever been lied to, manipulated, or made to feel crazy for trusting the wrong person, stay with me. Because this story, it's not just mine, it's yours too. And before the end, you'll see, sometimes heartbreak isn't a curse, it's a rebirth. So like, share, and comment if you've ever loved someone who didn't deserve your heart. Because what comes next will change everything. They say when a woman stops talking, that's when you should start worrying. Because silence isn't weakness, it's war being planned quietly. For the next few days, I pretended I was still the same wife, still the same woman who believed every word Daniel said. I laughed at his jokes, packed his lunches, even kissed him goodbye at the door. But inside, I was counting every lie. He didn't notice the difference. Maybe he never really looked at me long enough to see anything. His eyes were always somewhere else. His phone, his watch, his reflection. The first time I caught him lying was small, almost invisible. He said he was meeting a client at the glass house downtown. I nodded, said up hey, and waited until he left. 10 minutes later, I checked the car's GPS app. The car wasn't going to the glass house. It was heading toward the Haven Hotel. My hands shook as I watched the little blue dot move on the screen. I could have called him right then, screamed, cursed, demanded answers. But instead, I turned off the phone and sat in silence. Sometimes silence hurts more than screaming, because you can hear everything else. Your heartbeat, your breath, your soul asking, why me? That night when he came home, I watched him take off his tie. He smiled like nothing had happened. Long day? I asked softly. Yeah, he said. Client meeting went well though. Could be big for us. For us. My jaw clenched at those words. The same man who was slowly killing my trust was still using us like it meant something. I nodded and turned away before my face could betray the storm inside me. That's when I knew. I couldn't face him empty-handed. If I was going to expose him, I needed proof. Real proof. So I started watching. Not like a crazy woman, like an investigator. Every night when he slept, I'd check his phone while it charged. The first few times, I found nothing. He'd deleted everything. Texts, call logs, photos. But one night, I noticed a strange folder in his gallery, hidden in work files. I opened it. There she was. A woman in a red dress, smiling at the camera, her hand holding a champagne glass. My chest tightened. There were more photos, her laughing, her sitting in a car I didn't recognize, her holding Daniel's jacket. I zoomed in on one picture, and my blood ran cold. Behind her, I saw a mirror, and in that mirror, Daniel's reflection. His hand on her shoulder, his wedding ring missing. My vision blurred. I felt like someone had pulled the ground from under me. I closed the phone slowly and set it down like it was poison. I didn't cry, not that night. There was nothing left to cry. Instead, I whispered, "Thank you, God." Because now I wasn't blind anymore. The next morning, I looked at him differently. Every word he spoke felt rehearsed. Every kiss on my cheek felt fake. He didn't know I'd seen it all. That evening, while he was in the shower, I checked his messages again, this time using a recovery app. And that's when I found them. Dozens of deleted texts. Last night was perfect. Wish you were here instead of her. She suspects nothing. My heart didn't break this time. It hardened. I saved the screenshots. Every single one. The next few days, I started planning quietly. He wanted to live 2 lives? Fine, I'll let him. But one day, both would crash into each other in front of everyone. That Friday, I told him my friend Nia was coming to visit. He smiled. "Oh, Nia, nice. Been a while." He had no idea Nia was helping me now. She came over that evening, and while Daniel was upstairs, we talked in whispers. I showed her the photos, the messages. Her face went pale. "Girl, you need to leave," she said. "No," I said quietly. "Not yet." "Why not?" "Because leaving is easy. I want him to see what he did. I want him to feel it." She looked at me, eyes full of worry. "You sure you're ready for that?" I smiled faintly. "I've never been more ready." That night, I stood by the window watching Daniel's car pull into the driveway. My phone buzzed again, a message from an unknown number. "You don't know me, but you deserve to know the truth." My heart stopped. Another message followed, a photo. It was Daniel, at the Haven Hotel, holding the same woman from the red dress. And behind them, the timestamp read just 3 hours ago. My stomach twisted. He walked in seconds later, whistling softly, smiling like he hadn't just destroyed everything we'd built. "Hey, babe," he said. "You look tense." I forced a smile. "Just tired." "I'll pour you some wine," he said, walking toward the kitchen. I watched him go, every movement, every lie wrapped in kindness. When he turned his back, I whispered, "Keep smiling, Daniel, because soon that's all you'll have left." He didn't hear me, but you did. Because if you've ever been lied to by someone who swore they loved you, you know that silence before the storm. And trust me, my storm was just getting started. If you're still here, share this, because someone out there right now is believing the same lie I once did, and she needs to know you can love someone deeply and still walk away stronger. The truth will always find its voice. Mine just found hers. Some truths don't need to be shouted. Sometimes the quietest voice in the room can burn everything down. The night I confronted Daniel, it was raining, the kind of soft rain that makes the world feel like it's holding its breath. I had everything ready, the screenshots, the photos, even the message from that unknown number, which I later found out came from someone who worked at the hotel. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't shaking. I was still, like a storm that's already decided what it's going to destroy. Daniel came home late again, soaked, tired, pretending. "Hey, babe," he said, hanging his jacket. "Sorry, traffic was crazy." I smiled. "It's fine. You hungry?" "Starving." I served dinner, his favorite, baked salmon, garlic rice, and roasted vegetables. He sat down, started eating, talking about his meeting, how exhausting it was, how clients never stop calling. I just watched him, every lie spilling out so easily, so beautifully rehearsed. When he finally looked up, I smiled faintly and said, "Daniel, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "How long have you been lying to me?" His fork froze midair. "What?" he said, laughing lightly. "What are you talking about?" I leaned forward slowly. The woman in the red dress, the hotel, the messages, the missing ring. Should I keep going? His face went pale. For a moment, he tried to smile. "Zaria, you're misunderstanding." I placed my phone on the table, screen glowing. The photos stared back at him like ghosts. He didn't even reach for it. He just looked at me, stunned, cornered, small. "I trusted you," I whispered. "I gave you everything, and you made me feel crazy for seeing what was right in front of me." "Zaria, please." "Don't." My voice cracked for the first time. "Don't you dare say my name like you still have the right to." He sighed, rubbed his forehead, then whispered, "It didn't mean anything." I laughed, not out of humor, but disbelief. That's the thing about men like you. You destroy lives, then call it nothing. He stood up, pacing. "You don't understand. I was under pressure." So, you found comfort in another woman? I asked quietly. Tell me, Daniel, did she ease your pressure or feed your ego? He didn't answer. Silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. I looked at him one last time, really looked. And for the first time, I didn't see my husband. I saw a stranger who wore his face. I stood up, pushed the chair back, and said, "You know what hurts the most? It's not the cheating. It's that you looked me in the eyes every day, knowing you were lying, and still asked me to trust you." He opened his mouth to speak, but I raised my hand. "Save it. I'm done listening." I walked to the bedroom, grabbed the small suitcase I'd packed days ago, and turned back to face him. "Where are you going?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Away," I said, "to find the woman you buried beneath your lies." "Zaria, please." I stopped at the door. "You know what's funny, Daniel? You told her I didn't know. You laughed about it. You were right. I didn't know then, but I do now." I looked over my shoulder, my voice soft but steady. "And I forgive you." His eyes widened. "You what?" "Not because you deserve it," I said, "but because I deserve peace." I left the house that night. No shouting, no goodbye, just rain, silence, and the sound of my heels against the pavement. The next morning, I woke up at my sister's place. For the first time in months, the air felt lighter. I poured myself coffee, opened my phone, and looked at the messages from women I didn't even know, the ones who'd seen my post online. Because yes, I told my story, not to shame him, but to set myself free. I uploaded every proof, every lie, not with anger, but with truth. The post went viral overnight. People called me brave, some called me stupid, but for the first time, I didn't care what anyone called me. Because I wasn't hiding anymore. Daniel tried to call, dozens of times. I never answered. One day he texted, "You ruined me." I smiled and typed back, "No, Daniel, you ruined yourself. I just stopped covering for you." And that's when I realized something. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without letting it destroy you. Months passed. I started painting again, something I hadn't done since college. I got a new job, made new friends, started to laugh again, the real kind, not the one that hides pain. One afternoon, I walked by a park and saw a couple holding hands, smiling like nothing in the world could break them. For a second, it hurt. Then I smiled. Because I knew now, love isn't supposed to hurt like that. It's supposed to heal, to grow, to feel safe. And if it doesn't, it's not love. So, to the woman listening to this, if you're sitting in silence, wondering if you're crazy, wondering if you should stay, listen to me. You already know the answer. You just need to be brave enough to live it. Because one day, you'll realize you were never losing him. He was losing you. And when you finally walk away, you'll understand what freedom really sounds like. It sounds like your own heartbeat. It sounds like peace. So, if this story touched you, share it. Comment, "I choose peace." Because maybe tonight, another woman will hear these words and realize she deserves more than pain disguised as love. My name is Zaria, and this was the night I let him see the truth. The night I finally saw myself again. And baby, I never looked back.